Give us a second. We're fixing prompter. Is it all the way at the top? It's getting there.
Coming up on tonight's newscast, how one bar is taking their beer up a notch. Gucci sends out an apology after a controversial sweater, and officials are looking into an accident involving a construction elevator and a pedestrian. Good evening, everyone. I'm Alyssa Sullivan. Florida native Denise Williams is sentenced to life in prison after murdering her husband, Mike Williams, on December 16, 2000. She received an additional 30 years in prison for conspiring to kill him. Though Denise was convicted of the murder, Mike Williams' best friend and Denise's former lover, Briar Winchesterson, admitted to shooting Williams in the face when their plan to make his death look like a hunting accident went awry. The plot evolved so Winchester and Denise Williams could collect nearly $2 million in life insurance and be together without Williams suffering the shame of divorce. Michelle Carter was found guilty of involuntary manslaughter in 2017 for persuading her boyfriend, Conrad Roy III, via text message to commit suicide. Carter will serve 15 months behind bars for the 2017 conviction that held her accountable for the suicide in July 2014. Carter was on the phone with Roy as he inhaled carbon monoxide inside of his vehicle in Fairhaven, Massachusetts. Carter was 17 at the time and was also about a month out of a psychiatric hospital. Carter could begin her 15-month sentence as early as Monday. In lighter news, a brewery in Wisconsin has begun to offer beer infused with CBD.
Yeah, I like it. It looks like any other beer on tap, but its taste is distinct.
We like to provide like a lot of different beers from around the country, around the world, around the state, and we knew that this was something unique that we wanted to provide for our customers.
Fox River House owners made a special trip to the only brewery in the state that carries green glory in an effort to give Appleton beer lovers something they maybe haven't had before.
It goes down really well, and it's exciting that it's CBD infused. It's something different, so looking forward to seeing what our clients think.
Oftentimes, CBD is linked to marijuana because they both come from cannabis plants. But CBD, unlike THC, isn't psychoactive. Fox River House isn't worried patrons will conflate the two.
I feel like people can make their own decisions, and also when it comes down to it, it isn't a drug. It isn't psychoactive, and there may be some medical benefits. So I think it's up to people to give it a shot, and when it came down to it, it's also a really good beer.
But they're leaving that for you to decide, because beauty, or taste, is in the eye, or the taste buds, of the beer holder.
According to scientists, 2018 was the fourth hottest year on record since modern record keeping began in 1880. At first glance, fourth place doesn't seem too concerning. However, when you take a look at the past 5 years, they are the 5 hottest years on record, with the highest year being 2016, 1.69 degrees warmer than the average. NASA climate scientist Gavin Schmidt says there is no question that the planet is warming. And last week, a Chicago woman booked 72 rooms for 5 nights in an effort to get homeless people off the streets during the polar vortex. Candace Payne, a real estate developer, helped more than 120 people and was a guest on Ellen DeGeneres' show. The TV host surprised her with 2 checks from Walmart, which came to a total of $50,000. Payne says she is planning to use that money for her nonprofit to permanently put homeless in houses. BB&AMT is buying $28 billion in all-stock deal, creating the 6th largest U.S. bank deal since the 2007-2009 financial crisis. The combined company will operate under a new name and will cover the East Coast with new corporate headquarters to be situated in Charlotte, North Carolina. The 2 companies have called it a merger of equals valued at $66 billion.
Patriotism shouldn't just be about pride of country. It should be about love. Remember that to love America is to love all Americans, because love has no labels.
There's one thing you can never have sex without.
It's consent.
Because sex without it isn't sex.
It's rape.
It's on us to stop sexual assault.
Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
Arizona police refuted a human trafficking claim made by Cindy McCain, the now deceased John McCain's wife. She was at an airport in Phoenix. Mrs. McCain told the Arizona radio station KSAR News on Monday and called the police after witnessing a woman and a child of different ethnicities. She said it looked odd to her, but with no significant evidence, nothing could be done, and she later apologized. Gucci issued an apology for a shirt that resembles blackface. The sweater has a roll-up collar that covers the lower face with a large red lip. A screenshot showing Gucci's black turtleneck sweater has been removed from store shelves and website due to the complaints received. Meanwhile, border security was a topic covered at the State of the Union address, but no negotiations were made. Now people are fearing another possible government shutdown. Iridian Gonzalez is here with the story on how some states are preparing for another possible shutdown and how you can prepare as well.
Hi, Alyssa.
Hi, Iridian.
So Tuesday night was Trump's 3rd State of the Union address, where he spoke about different issues like infrastructure, national security, and the border wall.
So there's been a lot of talk about him declaring the national emergency. Did he declare that for the border wall in his address?
No, at the State of the Union address, Trump did not declare a national emergency for a border wall. But that doesn't mean there isn't a possibility of having another government shutdown. He urged Democrats and Republicans to find a compromise by February 15th, the deadline.
All right, and so how are the various states preparing for the possibility of the government shutting down once again?
Well, in D.C., the council is expected to pass a bill that would prohibit landlords and banks from foreclosing on government workers and contractors during any future shutdowns. Also, in states like California, Colorado, Vermont, they are allowing essential workers to make unemployment claims during any shutdown as well.
Okay, and so what can we give everyone? What advice can we give folks everywhere to prepare for another possible shutdown?
Well, one thing they can do is file their taxes early this year. Typically, the federal tax returns are due April 15th. But if there's no negotiation for border security, then there could be a shutdown which would impact the IRS and the services it provides to taxpayers. For example, it could cause a delay in their refunds. This year, the IRS said it expects to process more than 150 million individual returns for the 2018 tax year. But if someone's refund is delayed by the shutdown, then they can go to the IRS website to check the status of their refund by using the agency's Where's My Refund tool. They should be able to view their refund status in 24 hours after their e-file, and after 4 weeks if they file a paper return.
Wonderful. So we want to get those taxes filed. Thank you, Iridian. And coming up, a scaffolding collapse in Fort Worth, Texas.
Cinderella found the pet that fits her perfectly, and you can too. Share your heart, share your love. Make a shelter pet part of your world. Happily Ever After begins at theshelterpetproject.org.
I see it! I see it!
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org.
Migrant caravan entered a Mexican town across the river from Eagle Pass, Texas. About 1,600 Central American migrants camped out of the Mexican border city of Piedras Negras. The U.S. Department of Homeland Security vowed that the lawless caravan would not be allowed in. And now here's Dejay with the latest on entertainment.
Ozzy Osbourne is admitted to the hospital after having flu-like complications. After being diagnosed with the upper respiratory infection last month, he has had to cancel his No More Tour 2 tour. Osbourne says tours will reschedule in September. The Grammys will take place Sunday, February 10th at 8 p.m. They'll be aired on CBS. Alicia Keys will be the host for this year's Grammys, performances by Lady Gaga, Travis Scott, Miley Cyrus, and many more. That's all for entertainment. Back to you, Alyssa.
Thank you. And here's Brianna with a look from news around the world.
Hello, I'm Brianna bringing you the scoop of the world news today. First, in the Hindu Kush and Himalayan mountain ranges, climate change is becoming more of a threat to the glaciers. If you don't cut back on CO2 emissions, 2/3 of the ice fields could disappear. Even if the world limits the increase of temperatures to 1.5 degrees Celsius, at least 1/3 of ice would be sure to go. Next, a Brazilian court has sentenced former President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva to a further sentence of 12 years and 11 months in prison. Lula was found guilty of taking renovation work from a company involved in a corruption scheme. And lastly, there's an outbreak of measles in the Philippines. Authorities in the Philippines have declared an outbreak of contagious measles virus in Manila, and 196 people have contracted measles between the 1st and 19th of January. There is now a concern for 2.4 million unvaccinated children that are now at risk. Back at you.
One person in Fort Worth, Texas is critically injured after a construction elevator outside of a building partially collapsed. 2 others were injured as well, but authorities are still investigating the cause of the collapse. Savannah Spurlock, a 23-year-old mother, has gone missing in Girard County, Kentucky. Spurlock was last seen leaving the Other Bar in downtown Lexington January 4th. Investigators say she left with 3 men. The search continues. Coming up after the break, Tatiana Davis speaks with a Rowan entrepreneur, and Jordan Arard Coupe has the newest sports update.
Hey, did you know that 2.4 million loving cats and dogs in shelters and rescues need our help to find a home? Go to theshelterpetproject.org and search your local shelters and rescues. Go for a cuddle with your next best friend. Adopt.
It's a short ride from your neighborhood to your naturehood. To find a neighborhood park or green space near you, visit discovertheforest.org.
A wooden cross washes up at the Ocean Manor Beach Resort in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. This 20-foot cross quickly attracted tourists and onlookers. Ocean Manor Resort owner Frank Tallarico believes it's a sign of protection. Many at first did not know where this cross came from, but Robin Stowe believes it's part of her brother's memorial that was put up in his memory in North Carolina in January of 2016. The giant cross is now on display on the beach behind the resort. And after the break, we have our special report. Tatiana Davis interviews Rowan University alum and CEO of Love and Lux Media, Shakira Brown.
What's going on, Rowan University? I'm Tatiana Davis with the Rowan Report, and I'm sitting here with Shakira Brown. Shakira, how are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. So, everyone, Shakira is not only a Rowan alum, she is also a young entrepreneur. So tell us some more about Love and Lux.
Love and Lux is a media platform for African American women between the ages of 17 to 32. It's really all about us being the big sister voice to those women. We're all about breaking barriers and showing a new light to these young women.
Okay, so how did this all come about?
I I've had several blogs before, but I really wanted to do something and make something that would be like impactful for those that would consume the message. So I kind of gathered the smartest people that I knew, which were like my closest friends, and then I kind of built it from there.
I love it. So what do you do? Like, what services does Love and Lux have to offer?
So we have the website, and from there we update the website weekly with like new articles and things like that. We feature young entrepreneurs that are African American women and kind of show like how they started off their dream and how they made it into reality. A lot of times, like in the news and in the media, African American women have like the stigma of being, over sexualized, being loud, being angry, and we just kind of wanted to show like a new light to like African American women and show that there's like a different way, there's a different path to it, and that's what we're all about. We'd have a bunch of events as well where we kind of like show that love and positivity and kind of bring everything full circle.
Okay, so what brought Love and Lux to light? What gave you this vision and this thought to bring together a bunch of entrepreneurs and just like really use your platform?
So honestly, I was working one day, I was working at a retail store, and I was just kind of thinking about like how I wanted to do it. And a lot of times, like I think most people have like dreams, but they don't know how to go about it. And I just was talking to like one of my coworkers. She's one of my closest friends, and I just told her like, hey, I really want to do this, and she was like, just do it. So I literally the following day just started doing it. I created the site, and then kind of from there just kind of used my own backbone and just kind of motivated myself to kind of just do it.
Okay, and when you say motivation, what else gives you motivation besides yourself?
My mom, really. She's like the biggest inspiration for me. I've watched her get her bachelor's and her master's degree, and also watched her like create her own company. She's the biggest inspiration for me. Absolutely love her to death, and yeah, she's kind of also is like the main motivation for me too.
Okay, and I saw that you recently had a networking event. How did that turn out?
It was really great. Be able to connect with people that I already follow, like on Instagram and things like that, is really, really cool to be able to collaborate with people.
Okay, good. Well, I'm glad that you were able to, have that event. So hope we see more from you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
A man on a plane yells he has Ebola. Passengers of U.S. Airlines endangered when a man announces after sneezing, "I have Ebola." Flight 875 en route to the Dominican Republic's passengers held after flight as crews in hazmat suits came on to the plane. The man had no history of travel to Ebola-affected parts of West Africa. He was later charged. The Victor Talking Machine Company, once famous for creating a music dynasty in Camden, had plans to revamp the office building to its former glory by adding a new museum, a recording studio, and a rooftop restaurant. However, those plans have been scrapped to turn it into a recycling firm in order to offer more jobs. Downtown Los Angeles has been battling a typhus outbreak since October. It has become so severe that it has made its way to City Hall because workers have become infected. Government officials may rip up all carpets to prevent anyone else from falling ill. Typhus is a flea-borne disease with symptoms such as rashes, headaches, fever, and delirium. Coming up, Olivia Faziano tells us about the upcoming weather.
It takes less than 1 minute to find out if you may have prediabetes. You can do it here. But I get it, you're busy, and busy people can't have prediabetes. I read that wrong. They can, okay? Just go to the site.
There sure is a lot going on in sports right now. Let's head over to our own Jordan Arard-Coupe for the latest. Jordan.
Thanks, Alyssa. The New England Patriots have won their 6th Super Bowl title this past weekend in the lowest scoring championship game to date. They beat the Los Angeles Rams 13-3. Tuesday morning, the team's fans crowded the streets of Boston to celebrate yet again. The night before the big game, Patrick Mahomes was named the NFL's most valuable player after his first season starting for the Kansas City Chiefs. He threw for 5,097 yards, 50 touchdowns and 12 interceptions this season, which makes him the only quarterback in history to throw over 5,000 yards in a season in both college and the NFL. He also joins legends Tom Brady and Peyton Manning as the only players in the NFL to throw at least 50 touchdown passes in a single season. Congratulations to Mahomes. And it's still unclear where last year's Super Bowl MVP will end up next year. Nick Foles tried buying his way out of the Eagles' $20 million option for 2019. The Eagles fired back and handed him a franchise tag worth roughly $29.9 million. Foles and the Birds are now working together to find a worthy trade partner. Love that teamwork. Back to you, Alyssa.
Thank you, Jordan. Students of Central Washington University are sent into panic. It happened Wednesday night. Ducking and covering for hours, law enforcement swarmed the campus after reports that there was an active shooter. Police found no evidence of any shots being fired, nor did they find a shooter. CW's president thanked his students for following all necessary precaution and to the first responders that made sure everyone was all right. A heartwarming story about World War II shipmates reuniting 74 years later. After a daughter's post on Facebook, Sue Morse posted her dad was turning 96 and asked for birthday cards. She received 100,000 cards and even found one of her dad's shipmates. She says she was grateful for it all. Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds finally called truce to their fake feud that has been brewing for years. The two threw jokes back and forth about each other's brewing companies, but have kept it up since the fans were having so much fun with it. To make their friendship revival official, the two each made a glamorous ad for their rival company. Now let's go over to Olivia Fasano with our weather update.
Thanks, Alyssa. Tonight will be a low of 43 degrees and it'll be cloudy throughout the night. Let's take a look at our 5-day forecast. So Friday, it'll be a high 58 degrees and a low of 22, and it'll be cloudy throughout the day. Saturday, to start off your weekend, will be 35 degrees for the high, an 18-degree low, and partly cloudy throughout the day. Sunday will be a high of 39 degrees, a low of 27, and mildly cloudy throughout the day. On Monday, to start off your week, will be a high of 38 degrees, a low of 28, and you can see a little snow shower in the morning. On Tuesday will be a high of 42, a low of 34, and a wintry mix throughout the day. Now let's take a look at our weather window.
The last couple of days have absolutely been warmer than we expected, but looking forward, we can expect more cloudy days, more partly cloudy days, even a chance for snow. Experienced that warm weather this past weekend?
Yes. Now when it's cold again, it feels like bitter because we had that warm weather coming. So hopefully we'll see that.
Everyone across campus is always now in winter jackets, when the other day I saw somebody in shorts.
You got to always have your shovels on hand because it can go from sun to shovels in a matter of seconds. But thank you, Olivia.
Of course.
Well, that's all for tonight, folks. I'm Alyssa Sullivan, and from all of us here at the National Rundown, have a wonderful evening.